With Title Update 2 just around the corner, I think now is a good time to give my current/final thoughts on Monster Hunter, and not just the story. So we are just going to talk about Monster Hunter Wilds' main gameplay loop, and no story whatsoever. If you want to know my initial thoughts on the story and monsters, you can check out my other video, The Many Monsters and Story of Monster Hunter Wilds. Also, maybe consider a like and a subscribe if you like the video. Didn't quite make it to 60 on the last upload, so maybe we can try to get to 70 with this one. But if we're one short, I won't mind. Let's talk game. The only thing I'll take away from the other video is that I said that this is the most fun Monster Hunter has ever been. And that still holds true after letting the game sink in for a bit. But the fun parts have raised up some problems that fundamentally changed the Monster Hunter experience. The fun parts being how fluid and mobile combat has become. We've never had so much control of your hunter's positioning and attack angles until now. I remember people getting cheesed off in World when you could move when using items, and that was a step too far. But World still has most of that classic clunkiness in its combat. There were still changes to combat to make it a little more fluid, but not as drastic as Wilds. The way they've tuned up most weapons to have some sort of mobility while attacking has really changed up how offensive or defensive your positioning becomes, in a sense where it's easier to put yourself into prime attacking spots, and also put yourself in a position where you can easily dodge or block incoming attacks. With the change to Slinger mode now becoming focus attacks, it's even easier to position yourself in the best possible way, and for some weapons, focus mode and recorrect an angle mid-attack. The wound system I like. I hated Clutch Claw, tenderizing, and launching monsters into walls. I could not stand that change. So combining the system into something that you passively do just by hitting the monster makes it way better for the flow of a monster hunt. Up until the first major update, this change to the fundamental gameplay made hunting way too easy. Us as hunters now have so many tools to just run circles around the monsters that still just shoot a fireball, look at you, flap their wings, look at you, attack again. They're already half dead by the time they get that second attack out. Hunters have changed, and monsters still act like they did in the old games. Something was off, and with the armor changes from World and being kind of tweaked in Wilds, us being overpowered was only more amplified. Farming was also made easier. Monsters give more material and forging costs less, but also require hunt-specific items. So it's not like you can just one and done a set, but it is so much faster. And going out into the world to farm for utility items like herbs, mushrooms, bugs, etc. is still pretty much gone, just like in World. They did introduce the new treasure trading system, so it's kind of like you're going out and collecting resources. It's just for a slightly different reason, mostly for cooking ingredients and exclusive crafting materials. So it's nice that Capcom kind of brought back some of the preparation mechanics, and you're not just using the farm to gather everything for you over time. Not that there's much reason for them anyways. Max level tempered monsters barely up the challenge. And if you know the game and your weapons, the only reason you'll cart is because of overconfidence and carelessness, because the ease of the game caused you not to take notice anymore, and one cart won't even matter. Now all of this kind of just sums up the gameplay loop and Monster Hunter experience on release. But with the first major update bringing us the Gathering Hub, Arena Quests, and Zoshia, my feelings for the game and the direction things are going are shifting. The hub is nice. Kind of sucks we didn't have one at launch, but whatever. It's fine. Not really, but what can you do? It's nice to see a bit of the seasonal flair when the events are going on. As a fan of Splatoon, I really like the added touch of having a diva show up and give us a little show. Apparently this was in an older Monster Hunter game. I didn't start until 3, so I don't really know too much about anything before that. And you can call me a fake fan because I didn't really play much of 3. It wasn't until 4 came out that I started really playing Monster Hunter. Bowling is okay. It's whatever. But the real meat of this update was high rank Zoshia. Zoshia was the game's first real challenge. This guy will just kill you. It's not like his story mode fight. It kind of is, but there's more danger this time around. I actually failed this fight on my first attempt because I kept trying to cut his tail off, not knowing you can't until his last phase. So he just kept shooting fireballs at me and I sucked and died. But I have his fight down now. But up until this point, I have not failed a single mission. I think I killed on a capture mission once, but that doesn't really count as a cart loss. This is a tough fight. Playing online, people were dying left and right. I actually had to bring life powder and do a bit of supporting. It was nice. It's nice to know Capcom are looking to up the difficulty with these new monsters. Mizutsune is also here, but he's maybe a touch tougher than the rest of the monsters. It's pretty much in line with everything else. Not bad, but I'm not spending any more time talking about him. The reason I wanted to wait on making this video was for Arc-Tempered Raidou. I could have done this video after Zoshia, but it didn't feel like there was enough. But with Arc-Tempered Raidou and the arena quests, the picture for what this game is becoming is more clear. Arc-Tempered Raidou is really good. He is what I think a lot of us veteran players were looking for in terms of what monsters should be like in the endgame. I mentioned Zoshia making me bring life powder to online hunts, but Raidou was making me dig deep and pull out the demon drug and armor skin. I legit had forgotten these were even in the game because of how easy things were. Raidou brought the hunt. And I think this is a taste of what G rank will be like. If we are dancing around these high rank monsters who still have these old movesets, we will need monsters who can double dance around us. And Raidou seems to be doing this. Every attack is like 2, 3, 4 attacks, and you really need to fight for your opening or prep and bring enough items to create your own. I am no longer worried that Capcom will just let us steamroll everything easily anymore. And this brings us to the arena quests. Arena quests have taken up a lot of my time with this update, which is kind of crazy since I rarely touched them in the previous Monster Hunter games. At this point in Wilds, there isn't much else to do, and Capcom has only released a couple, but now there's some limited rewards you can earn, so I gotta get my hands on them. Now all the pieces are finally starting to fall into place. The real hunts, the real challenge is going to be here, or at least until we get regularly spawning arc-tempered monsters. Getting those A ranks in these time trials is tough. I did manage to get an A in the Doshiguma limited trial, but I didn't get the one for the Raidou free challenge. I just didn't play enough. And it's all starting to click. The rest of the game being too easy, easy materials, easy to build armor, guaranteed drops. It all makes sense with these arena quests. They want you to be able to try out these quests, realize what you have isn't going to work anymore, and build something new. And it's weird because Monster Hunter never really pushed for the arena quests, but we are chomping at the bit for challenge here, so I'll take it. We are still only in high rank, so it's tough to just say make it harder when we know harder content is imminent in the future. But the way they've set it up here, I think works. It did leave an early sting when the game launched, but now that there's a place and time for the challenging content, I'm happy it's here. I am worried, like everyone else, that Monster Hunter was becoming too easy, too casual, fundamentally changing what we like about these games, and it is changing. But it seems like they're trying to funnel players from casual to more hardcore with the way content is released and structured, making the ease of entry as easy as it's ever been, but amping up the challenge even further with more longer, difficult hunts and time trials coming in updates. I think Monster Hunter is in a good spot, and I know people don't like the direction it's going. They tried to tone down the armor skill sets by separating them, weapon and armor skills, instead of putting everything on anything and ending up super overpowered by the end of it all. Negative traits, I think, are just gone for good. But if they ramp up the monsters to the point where having all this power is almost a requirement, I think it balances itself out. The farm is a little less OP. You're not just swimming in fields of resources. Maybe, I don't know. I don't play too much currently, but it does feel like you get less. I could be wrong, but you still need to go out and trade materials, so you're almost forced to go into the field and collect items again. And I know it sounds like I'm glazing this game, but I have my problems with it. One was the difficulty, which I just talked about. The other is that I don't really know why Capcom is trying to go open world. These maps are better than World, but you still just fast travel around. The only thing they changed was that they put the main hubs in the maps themselves. And there is some real-time weather and event occurrences. And with the performance issues on PC at least, it seems like too steep of a price to pay for a non-improvement. I mean, it's not even really open world. There are invisible walls and sectioned off areas all over the place because these are fundamental to Monster Hunter. You need these uniquely designed environments and sections to fight in. Otherwise, it would just be one big open field with no variety. If they remove zones, it would be the last fundamental thing Monster Hunter has had completely gone. I understand that open world is the hot thing right now, but it clashes with Monster Hunter. And I think if the performance wasn't garbage, I wouldn't mind. But it seems they can't do it. Frame gen for 60 FPS should be illegal on Steam. I didn't have many performance issues on PC, but just to get 1080p 60 FPS, my computer is burning a hole in the ozone. And I know they've been updating the game, reducing VRAM usage, but it's the CPU usage that's the issue. I run a 13th gen i7 and a 3080 Ti. At the time of launch, there was only one generation of graphics cards ahead of mine, and only a few upgrades for CPUs. 1080p should not be a struggle. With the Akuma crossover, it makes sense why they're sticking with the Reach engine. It was probably really easy to drop Akuma's model into Monster Hunter and code in his Street Fighter mechanics. So at least at some level, it makes sense, but the game still needs more work. And at this point, I know it's been pseudo-confirmed that this has been a rush launch for the PC version. So hopefully Capcom really just kicks it into high gear and gets the performance up. But that's about everything I wanted to say. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. I am more than willing to respond to anything y'all have to say. And thanks for watching. Sorry this one took a while to get out. I wanted to get this done way sooner, but I ended up getting sick. My ear really started to ache, and I just kept scratching it and then made it worse and then got an ear infection. So I've kind of just been dealing with that for 2.5 months after finally getting some antibiotics and dealing with the issue. And there were days where I felt better and I probably could have powered through it, but I would have rather taken the time off, thought about what to do next after this, and then just kind of work past it. Plus, I kind of needed the time off. I needed a mental break. I needed to rest my arm as well, since art is also a part of the channel that takes up a lot of time. So I'm almost there. I'm like 98% feeling better. So we're probably back in the grind, and hopefully the next few videos do better. I don't know how this one's gonna do. Probably the usual. But if you're watching this, like, comment, subscribe.